Let us solve the exercise number 7 in the part B of C# and .NET Lab. The exercise is as follows. Create a web application to insert records into a database table having the following fields: employee ID, employee name, department name, and salary. Update any employee's salary and increment it to 15% of the present salary. Perform the delete operation on one row of the database table. And this is what they are expecting us to create. So let's go ahead and let's create a ASP.NET application. I have my Visual Studio with me, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to click on the file and new project. And in this file new project, I'm going to select the project as C#. Under this C#, I'm going to select the web, and I'm going to select the ASP.NET web application. Suppose in your version of Visual Studio, if you get it as ASP.NET empty ASP.NET web application, select that thing. So you may get empty ASP.NET web application in the older version. In that case, just select that. As usual, give a appropriate name to the project and save it at a particular location. Let me click OK because I don't have such restriction here during the demonstration. And in this version of Visual Studio, I get the empty option later. Now in the older version, you may get it as an empty ASP.NET application. In that case, just select empty ASP.NET application. Here I'm getting it as a separate option. I will select the empty and click OK. Now this is going to create a blank slate for us without anything in the project that we have created. Suppose if I go to the Project Explorer here and click on the Project Explorer, you notice that there is nothing is there in this particular project, and we have to do everything from the scratch. So let's first look at what is that we are supposed to do it. And we are supposed to create this employee ID, employee name, employee table, and employee salary. So we need a database. So I'm going to go to my Project Explorer. Again, if you are not getting this Project Explorer, go to the View, and under View you are going to get the Solution Explorer, Project Explorer, and so on. Many things will be available. Just go to the Solution Explorer, and then I'm going to select my application here. It could be anything, any name that you have given. It's going to come at this place. Right click on here, and as an advice, we are supposed to store the database at a particular location. So I'm going to go to the add first here. So right click and add first. So I right clicked on the web application and I'm going to the add. Under add, I'm going to go to the ASP.NET folder, and I'm going to select the app underscore data. Now this is advisable that you keep your database in a folder called as app underscore data. However, you are free to keep it at any location, other location that you wish to save, but it is better option that you save it here. Okay, just a minute, and I'm going to disconnect from my internet. I just forgot to disconnect from the internet. Okay, so that done. Let me try it. Right click here and go to the add, and I'm going to go to the my ASP.NET folder, and I'm going to click on app underscore data, and then I have added that app underscore data over here. When you select it, you are going to just do that thing, app underscore data. You're going to get that thing, app underscore data. And once that is done, this is going to just create a folder. You're not going to do anything new here, but it is advisable that you keep your database and the data related things in this app underscore data. Yeah, so it is better you to follow a convention that everybody follows, so that it is easier for others to follow what you have done. Then I'm going to go to the app underscore data and right click on it and say add, and I'm going to say new item. I can straight away say a SQL Server database. I can directly do it, but I'm going to do it in the other way. So I'm selecting this, that is app underscore data, and then I'm going to right click on that thing. I'm going to select this. I mistake. I opened this one. In any case, right click on it and say add, and I'm going to, you can directly select this SQL Server database, but I'm going to go to the new and new item. So this is what I have done. Now from where can I close this? Okay, I'm going to just close this one. So by mistake, I think it just took the task, a double click. So I'm going to right click on it, add, and I'm going to say new item. You can straight away get it from here, new item. Once that is done, I'm going to select the SQL Server database. If you want, you give any name to the SQL Server database. I'm going to just give the name that it has given without changing anything. I'm going to just click OK. And when I do that, it's going to add a database file here. So you notice that it has added a database file here. Just double click on this database file here. Just double click on this. When you double click on this, you are going to see the Server Explorer on the other side of your project window. So it's going to come on the right hand side, and as usual, it is not visible. Just click here and then search for the Server Explorer, and you will find the Server Explorer somewhere here. Okay, so you get this Server Explorer, and if I click on the right arrow over here, and you notice that there are no tables in the database. So I'm going to right click on it and then say add new table. When I say add new table, it's going to create a design wherein I can create a new table, and this is what I'm supposed to create in the table. I'm supposed to create the employee ID, and I'm supposed to create the department employee name. So that here they have given it as employee name as a second option. I'm going to follow this option, and then they say department name, and they have the salary. So I'm going to do this one here. So let me go over here and let me start with the first field. You will notice the field name over here. Just click here and then change it. I'm going to say EmpId. Let me make it as a proper one, EmpId, and just click down and EmpName. I'm following the order that is given here, because in the question they said it is employee name is the second one, but here they've shown it as department name as the first option. But it's okay, one either here or there, it must be there. That's it. Okay, then you have a department name over here, and finally you have the salary. I'm just typing all of them one after the other, and I'm supposed to fix the data type for them. Even though they have not specified the data type, I'm going to just fix it. So I'll keep the first one int as it is, and I'm going to just change this one, employee name. As you are familiar, you have something called as varchar. I'm going to select it as varchar 50, and then I'm going to click on this one and I'm going to select it as varchar 50. So you notice you have something called as varchar 50. There is something problem is there with the Visual Studio or my display driver that is just shaking it up, but I'm going to just do that, minimize and then show it. Now there is one particular data type in the SQL Server, and that is money. I'm going to select this salary. You know very well it is currency, so I'm going to select it as money here for the salary. And I'm going to remove the null here, so indicating that the user cannot make the null here. That means they cannot insert a record with the null values for them. So null is not allowed for any of the field. Also, I'm going to just go down here, and here if you notice that the table name that is given over here is just a table. I'm going to make it as EMP table. So I'm going to call it as EMP table. So this is all you've done. You can just see here, you can click here and just drag it up and then see. This is create table, employee ID, int primary key, and employee name is varchar, and department name is also varchar 50. We have the salary, which is money. All of them are not null. Once that is done, I'm going to go here at this corner, and I'm going to click on that update button. When I click on this update button, it's going to say that it will include some transactional script. Whether you want it or not, it doesn't make any sense here, because you are not going to do any transaction as such. When I say transaction, you are not going to use it in a situation where the transaction handling is really required. Let me click on the update database here. I'm going to just click on the update database, and when I click on the update database, it had completed running all the script over here. Now if I go here to my server explorer, and if I go to this database and right click and then say just refresh it, you have to just refresh it, and you notice that employee table is created. If you click on the right arrow, you will notice that all the fields are created, and this one is the primary key. Okay, that done. Let's go ahead and let's build the web page, and this is what we are supposed to build it. So let's go ahead and do that thing. I'm going to go to the right hand side now. I'm going to go here to the right hand side to the solution explorer. So I'm going to go to the solution explorer here, and I'm going to click on this web application. Whatever name you have given to your project, it's going to appear here. Right click on it and then say add, and then I'm going to say new item. However, you have an option. So if for both of them you have an option to create a web form here. Directly you can create it during the examination. If you don't want to waste your time, you can just click here web form. I'm going to just show you. I'm going to go to the new item and then take the pain of searching for the web form by clicking on the code web here, and then search for the web form. So it's going to be more of a trouble one. You just select the web and then the web form. It's going to be a bit involved, but I'm going to do the same thing. If you go here, right click on this and then go to the add and then say web form. Directly you can do it. So you go right click, add, and new item, web form. We can just do it for you. So it is, you see how fast it is. Just give it a name, and I don't care about the name. I'm going to just click OK. It's going to create the same thing, whether you do it in a long way or you do it in a short way, it is one and the same. After doing that, I'm going to go to this place, and that is the design here. So at this place, you just click on this design, and just click here. I'm going to just click on this design. So if you click on this design, you're going to see the design view. Okay, in this design view, we are supposed to add a data grid here. So this part, if you notice, this is the data grid. I'm going to add a data grid. So I'm going to go to the toolbox. Again, if the toolbox is not visible, just click on the view and go down somewhere. You are going to get this toolbox. Okay, so under view you are going to get it. Otherwise, just click on the toolbox, and you need to search for the data. You can just say data grid by typing here data, and you will get the option, or you can search for the items in the data grid. So you can search like this by scrolling up and down. You can search it, or just type it here and you get it. In any case, you are going to get the grid view. So this is what you are going to get, grid view. So you can search there or you can get it. I'm going to double click on this one. It's going to add there. Okay, that's it. It's going to add the grid view here, and if you look at here, it's just added that without anything, and you notice that there is a smart property here, smart tag. If you click on this smart tag, it's going to go, and you can click here. If you see the arrow here, when you click here, it's going to appear. If you click again, it's going to disappear. So click here and then select the data source here and choose data source. You don't have a data source here. I'm going to just click on this and then say new data source. So when I say new data source, it's going to give you a dialog box saying that which type of data source you are going to use it. Now this is the oldest way that you are learning, and that is you are going to directly connect to the database. My advice to you is if you have time and if you really want to do anything in the computer science, start from the entity, or better you go to the link. Okay, it is better. If you want to learn the ASP.NET, start from here. This will be the ideal case, but the university expects you to go with the traditional old technology, and that is outdated. Almost it is dead now, and nobody prefers to directly interact with the database. In any case, but even though you may say that I'm learning now, even if you are learning it, it is better you start with this one, even for the learner. Okay, so but in any case, let's go with the database, and I'm going to select the database. This part you learn on your own. It is not part of your syllabus, I suppose. So you learn on your own. A lot of videos are available on the YouTube. You can just see how link can be used. Let's go here with the database now. I'm going to just click on the database and then click OK. And when I click OK, it's going to ask me, okay, choose your database. I'm going to click on here, and I have my database 1, which I just created. That database will appear. Okay, you can click on this plus sign to see this is your connection C. You can make a note of it by selecting it and then copying it. Control C for copying it. You can do that, but let me go to the next one. When I go to the next one, it's going to say I will save this with some name. Let it give any name, because I'm not going to use its name in my program. Let me go ahead, and it's going to say this is there is only one table. If you have other table, it would have shown it, but now there is only one table, and that table has employee ID, employee name, and so on and so forth. Now I'm going to go here, but one thing I'm going to go over here is you can build the whole query by clicking on where clause and order by clause, but I'm going to go to the advanced over here. That's the button. Click on this advanced button, and I'm going to ask it to generate this insert, update, and delete statement for me. Okay, so it's going to do that thing. If you want to, you can say optimize concurrency, but that's not required for me. I want the insert in particular. I want this, not insert, the update command. Let it generate, and I'm going to then recreate or maybe update it. Let me click OK, and let me go to the next one. And if you want, you can test it. Now if you notice that it is going to test for select a star from the table, but there is nothing is there in that table, so it's going to fetch a 0 record from the table. There is nothing is there. I have not added anything. I just created a table there, and there is nothing. I have not added any data, so it's not going to show me anything. Let me click on finish, and when I click on finish, this is how it's going to appear. Now just because I want to show the demonstration, I'm going to add a record to the database and then run this one. This you did not have to do it during the examination. So let me go here and first save this thing. I'm going to just click on save, and then I'm going to go to the Server Explorer, and if you click on this plus arrow, you will see the tables, and you have the table here. I'm going to right click on it and then say show the table data. So I have the solution Server Explorer. I went to the my connection string for that, and I've right clicked on the under the table. I right clicked and then say show table data, and you don't have to be surprised to see that there is nothing is there. I'm going to add the data, so I'm going to say 101 and just press tab, and my name say money. Computer science is the department, say 45,000 is the salary, just say, and then again press tab, and that is added. Okay, so I have one record being added there. So this is what I wanted. This for the demonstration purpose. You don't have to do it during the examination, but now I just want to, before I run it, I just want to show how it's going to appear. Now if I click on this and then run the application, so if I run this particular application, you are going to see that the one that I have added, it's going to appear on the grid view. Yeah, during the examination, don't waste your time in executing the script or your application, that is the web application, because you can do everything and then come back and run it only once, okay, rather than running it every now and then and waiting for the output to appear. But anyhow, I'm going to just show you how it's going to appear, so that if since you're doing it for the first time, you must know how it's going to show up on the your web browser. So you can select any of your web browsers. See, I have selected the Edge here. If you notice here, when I have to stop, then there is the down arrow there, which is available. You can just click on the down arrow and select the other browser, whichever is there. It is going to select the default one. See, this is how it's going to appear. If you run this application, this is how it's going to appear. Employee ID, employee name, department name, salary, and whatever I have entered, it's going to appear here. Now, if you want to edit this, option, you have to add a few buttons to that. For that, let me stop the web application. To stop it, you have a button here, stop. Just click on this stop debugging, and it's going to stop it. And I'm going to go to the smart tag over here, and I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to say I want to add few columns to my things over here. So I have only few columns here, and if you notice the question here, they have two additional columns, that is edit, delete. They have two additional columns there. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to say add edit columns. I'm going to just click on the edit columns, and I'm going to select the columns. This is how the dialog box will appear. You notice all your fields are available here on the top, available fields, and these are selected, already selected. You notice these employee ID, employee name, department name, and salary. These are already selected, but there are many more which are available here. I'm going to go to the command field here, command field. If you click on the right arrow, the plus here, if you click on the plus arrow in front of the command field, it's going to, let me remove it, okay, because I don't know, the mouse is taking, when I click once, it is taking double click. If you click on this plus sign, you will notice that command field, and I'm going to select this edit, update, cancel. I'm going to select this and then say add. It's going to appear here. In the same way, I'm going to click on this delete, and I'm going to click on add. It's going to also appear here. So edit, update, and delete. These things will appear. So I have selected the command field, and then I've done that thing. Select is not really required because they have not asked it. Just click OK. You notice that edit and delete, how they have done it, edit and delete will appear. Once it is done, let me just run it and then show you what is the difference. What difference does it make? Okay. Now, before I show it, this is how it used to appear. You have no choice for updating or anything. This is how it used to appear previously. Now, when you run it, the things are going to be different. So when you run it, it is still loading it. Okay. So you have you're going to get some additional option here, that is the edit and delete, and this is what you're going to get it. So this is, I'm running it for the second time. So this is how it's going to appear. Now if you click on this edit, you will be allowed to edit all the fields. You can make changes. I'm going to just make the changes, and I'm going to say money B, and I'm going to say I'm from the commerce department. Okay. And I can also change the salary. Let's say my salary is 1000, just 1000 rupees. Okay. And I can click on this update button, and I can update whatever changes I have made for one field or many field. However, you notice that it won't allow you to change the primary key. This is not allowed because if you allow somebody to change the primary key, it's going to be a costlier affair, so they won't allow you to do that. I can update it, or I can cancel it. I can just click, I'm going to just say update it, and when I update it, you notice that it has updated it. Definitely you know very well, if I click on delete, this record will be deleted. Now just to show you that what has happened, now if I go to my Visual Studio here, I'm going to stop this application by clicking on the stop debugging. Now I have my table data here. I will close this one, and I'll come back to this because that's not of it's of any no use. I'll go to this employee table data. Now how do you get it? Click here, right click here and then say show table data. So click on this server explorer, select your connection, right click here and then say show table data. Now I have the table data with me. I'm going to just this is how it's going to appear. Again I don't want to open it. I'm going to just refresh it, and you will notice that whatever changes I have made, it is also highlighted in the database. That means it knows how to update it on its own. You don't have to write any code for this, because ASP.NET is powerful enough to handle these things on its own. Yeah, so that's good. You don't need to write anything. However, there are a few things that you need to understand here, and one is, according to them, you are, when you click on the edit, you are not supposed to allow somebody to change the name, the department name, but you can only allow the user to change the salary. This is what they have said. The salary must be, update the employee salary and increment it by 15%. This is what they have said. So we are not supposed to allow the user to make changes to the employee name, not here, employee name and other things over here. How to do that thing? So let me go here. I'm going to go to the ASP web page over here, web form. I'm going to click on this web form, and again I'm going to click on this, and I have this smart tag over here. I'm going to click on here and I'm going to say edit columns. I'm going to say edit column. I'm going to just click on this edit column, and a few things I need to do. First one, if you look at this employee ID, if you look at this, click on this employee ID. On the right hand side, you get a lot of options here. So in this option, if you scroll down somewhere, you notice that the visible is true. Remember, visible is false, means it's not going to appear, but read only is true. So if you notice that the read only is true. What is the meaning of saying read only? Is when I run it, you notice that I will not be allowed to make changes. I'm going to just edit this one just to show you. I don't know whether it is possible. Okay, I'm going to edit it. You notice that I will not be allowed to make changes to this employee ID. However, I can always make changes here by adding anything. Okay, so that means employee name, department name and salary, they are all editable field, but this one is non-editable. It's just a read-only field. I want even the employee name, this field, and this field to be the same. That means I don't want somebody to make changes, because they have said that you are only supposed to allow the user to change the salary. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on this employee name. I'm going to click on this employee name, and in the employee name I'm going to go here, go down, and you notice that visible is true, but you notice that read only in this case is false. For this employee name, the read only is false. So I'm going to click here and make it as read only is true. In the same way, I'm going to click on the department name and scroll down and then say visible is true, but read only is say true. Okay, now you can don't make this one also read only. In that case nothing can be done. Other things are not so much of concern to us. So after doing this, let's click OK, and I'm going to just run it and then show you what is the changes that it's going to do this time. So this time when you run this application, you will notice that your application will not allow you, unlike in the previous case wherein you can change the name as well as the department name, that is employee name and the department name. This time such a thing will not be allowed. So you will be allowed to only change the salary here. So if you click on this edit here, now this time you notice that the strange behavior. I can change only this, but I will not be allowed to make any changes to the other one. That is the meaning of saying you have made it as a read only. I don't have to test. I'm going to test it later, but you can for the time being assume that it knows how to delete the record. Now once that is done, let's look at the query that they have said. What is the query that they have said? Increment the salary by 15% of the present salary. This is what we are supposed to do. However, when you run the application, such a thing will not be done automatically for you. It will only, whatever changes you make here, it's going to just show that thing, but it will not increment it by 15%. You have to write the query on your own. How do I write my query? So for that, let's go to the Visual Studio. I'm going to just stop this application first, and I'm going to come back to the grid view here. And in the grid view, I'm going to go to the smart tag here, click here, and I'm going to click on the configure data source. Okay, click on this configure data source. I will just click on this configure data source. The same thing, you are going to get it. The connection string, which was there as usual. Let's go to the next by clicking on this next button. So when I click on the next button, this is how it is going to appear. Now, in this case, last time you said advanced button and you asked it to generate the insert, delete and update queries on your own. But this time what I'm going to say that I will specify. So this is a very different thing. Specify a custom SQL statement. So in the previous case it was here. Now you are saying I will specify my own query, and I'm going to go to the next here. In the next, you notice that you have an option for select, update, insert and delete. Very, very important thing when you are doing it for the examination. So during the, I'm going to just go back. During the examination, don't come here. Now this is how it's going to appear for the first time. This is how it's going to appear. Don't just click here and then go to the next one. It will not do it. So first what you have to do is you click here, go to the advanced, and then say generate this update query. I'm going to cancel it because I was generated it. Click next, 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 and go to the finish. Then come back again and then say specify the custom. Otherwise you have to write the query for everything on your own. It will take a lot of effort. So first you are going to select it, click on the advanced, click OK. I'm going to cancel it, but you click OK, then click next, 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 and then click finish. Finish it off. Again come back and then go to the smart tag here, go to the configure data source, come to the same place. This time you say that I'm going to specify the custom select statement. Okay, so second time you say it. For the first time you allow this dialog box to complete, and then for the second time you specify it. Okay, so I hope you get it. Let's go to the update query here. In the you have the update employee table. Set employee name is equal to EmpName. That's not there. Employee department is equal to @employee department. That's also not required. Okay, what is required here is employee salary is 15% of give the increment. This is what they said. Give an increment of 15%, okay, of the present salary. So I'm going to give an increment. How do I give the increment? So salary is equal to old salary plus 0.15 where is that? How did it give? 0.15% of the present salary. So this is the original salary and plus 15% of the new salary. This is what I'm going to write. Only this 15% plus 15% of the present salary, and the remaining is all done. Let me click next. Remember, there is no point in testing this one because it's going to run a select statement, not the update statement. Then let me click on finish, and that's all. I will click on the finish and the query is done. Let me run it for you and just to show you how it's going to do this time. When you run it, you will notice that the salary will appear. I'm going to just close the previous one. They are not really required. Okay, you're going to see the same thing this time also, but there is a small twist. When you click on the update, it's going to update it by 15%. So that's what it's going to do. Now you see that there is no change, but when you click on this edit and without doing anything, if you click on update, look at this one. This is 1000 rupees. 15% of the 1000, you know very well how much it is. So this is 15% is 150 rupees. 15% of 1000, it's updated. Okay, again if I click on edit and then say update it, it's going to update it again 15% of that salary, and it's going to go. Okay, so that done. Let's look at the other part, and below this we are supposed to allow the user to add new records. So let me do that part. I'm going to stop the application and I'm going to click down here. So I'm going to just click here. Don't click on any of the source or anything. You have a lot of empty place here. Just click on here, and I'm going to go to the table here. So you get this table option here, and I'm going to say insert table. So I'm going to go here and then insert table, and I'm going to select six rows and 2 columns. So to let the column be same, and I'm going to add 6 rows here. So I will get a table with the 6 rows, and if you notice there are 6 rows are there. In your video you may not see it, but there are 6 rows are there. The table contains actually 6 rows and 2 columns. This is how it's going to appear. Now on the first column I'm going to write whatever they have said, employee ID. Or here they have said the department name. Anyhow, if it is a department name, you say a department name, otherwise employee name. But here they have given it as employee ID, employee name, department name, salary. When you add it in the other way around. But I'm going to follow my thing. I started with the employee ID, employee name, department name, and salary. I'm going to follow the same one. So I have this EmpId. Just I'm typing it, that's all. Click down. This is the first row. The next is the second row. EmpName, this will be the second one. Click down, and DEPT name is the department name, and the last one is the salary. So this is what they have said. So I'm typing it, but I'm typing it other way around, because I too feel like when you type the employee ID, then you generally type the employee name, not the department. But in any case, I'm not objecting what they have said, but I followed this, so that is why I'm writing it in the same order. But if you want, you put the department name and employee name on the other way. People may not find it offending if you just interchange the column. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's go to the other part. Now when you try to do it, you notice that the first column has exploded like anything, but if you look at the second column is very less. So if you go here at this corner, okay, this is where you have it. You see the arrow. So when you come here to this, there is a border here. I don't know whether you can see it on your video, but there is a border. If you go here to the border, you can click and then drag it to the other side. Okay, you can drag it. I'm going to just drag it to the other side so that it's going to come very closer. Now you see this first column is very width is very less, but the second column width is very high. This is what I want, and you notice that this is what they have. The first column and the second column has appeared here. So I'm going to click here on the first row, second column, in front of the employee ID. I need a text box here. So I'm going to go to the toolbox on the left hand side. If the toolbox is not visible, go to view and find the toolbox. So I'm going to click on this toolbox, and you need a text box. Again, if you can't find a text box or something, you just type text and you're going to get the text box or anything. Okay. So selected this text box, double click on it. What you notice here is the text box will appear right in front of the employee ID. In the same way, I'm going to click in front of the employee name on the other column. Remember, I'm not typing on the same column. This is the one column, and this one is the other column. So I'm going to go to the second row, second column, and I will go to the toolbox. I have the text box with me. Double click on it, and some student, what they do is they just forget to remove this option. Remember, once you do it, you have to delete this one. If you don't delete it, only that choices will be shown. So some student, they type text and then they can't get the radio button, they can't get the button and other things. The reason is you have typed something here. Just click on this X mark and everything will appear. So don't forget that thing. When you make a choice like this, only that will be shown. Okay, so be careful with that. Okay, I'm going to just add it for now. Okay, so this is what I have done. Lastly, the salary, in front of the salary I'm going to keep it, and then go to the toolbox and double click on the text box. Now I need a button below here. Below here I need a button. This is what they have. There is a button either here or there. I need a button. So let me click on this. Here they have added a button. So let me click here. You notice that below the salary there is a button. So below the salary there is a button. I'm going to click here. This is a salary. Just below this salary, in the next row I'm going to do it. Now if you go to this toolbox, you notice that the button is not appearing because I have made a selection here. Now if you want, delete it and then search for the button, or you can just type BU and T and you get it. It's up to you. Okay. So just double click on the button and the button will appear here. Okay, the button has appeared, and you have the last choice is the user. That's one label. I'm going to just click the label here. I'll keep the label here. Okay, and again I'm going to go to the toolbox and I will type the label. Remember, when I type this you're going to get the label. So double click on the label and you have the label here. So label added. This much is done, and I have to just change a few things. The button should not appear as button. Button has to be, the text has to be changed as add. So let me go here and right click on this button, select it first and right click on it, and then say go to this properties. So go to the properties of this button, and in the property of the button on the right hand side you see the property. In the properties of this button 1, I'm going to change it to, and I'm going to say it as add. That done, I'm going to go to the label here. I'm going to click on this label, again right click and then go to its property, and there is a text that is written as label. I'm going to delete it, otherwise that text will also appear on the page. So I don't want any text to appear in the beginning. If the user has added, then only I will show the message. Otherwise, I don't want to show a message saying that label or something. Okay, this is done. Now, what are the things that we are supposed to do? We are supposed to connect to our database is here. If you notice, our database is here. We are supposed to connect to this database. To connect to this database, I need a connection string. From where will I get the connection string? What is this connection string? It's going to tell me where exactly is the database and how to connect to the database. Maybe the username and password, or the drivers that are required to connect to the database. All the details has to be specified. How do I do that thing? It's easiest option. You go to the Server Explorer. On the other side, you have this Server Explorer. Go to the other side and click on this Server Explorer. You already are connected to the database. So click on here, right click and then say the properties. So this one that you are already seeing, this table is there. Right click on, not on the table, on this database, right click and then say properties. And when you click on this property on the other side, see there, I clicked here and then say properties. On the other side you will see this property, and in this you are going to see the connection string, something called as a connection string. You see there, connection string is there. Okay, this is what it is required. It's going to say where is the database, how do you access the database, whether it is a SQL Server database, whether it's Oracle database, and so on and so forth. It's going to tell you all those things. You don't need to learn this, you don't have to buy hard. This Visual Studio will do it for you. So click here and then say Control A, select all. So this is what I'm doing. So you have this CTRL plus A, Control A for selecting all, then CTRL plus C to copy it, and finally CTRL plus V to paste it. So remember that thing. So I have already pressed click here, Control A, I'm pressing and copy it, Control C to copy it. So Control A and Control C, copy it. Now you have to create a connection string. You can do it in your code, but my advice is don't do it, because then you have to somehow correct that string. It's going to take longer time, and during the examination you will make a mistake if you start doing it. So easiest option is go to the Server Explorer on this side, and in the Server Explorer click on this property. So you have this property, you will get this property. It is a part of the Visual Studio project. double click on this properties. Okay, when you double click on this property, you get a strange box like this. In this box, go to the settings, not the resources, the settings. Okay, when you click on this setting, it says that there are no settings that is done for this project. Click here to create one. This is what it's going to say. Just click here to create one. Now it's going to create your customized default setting. So first setting, I'm going to say give any name but no spaces. constr. This is a variable name, so don't put spaces in between. So this is my connection string. Type of it, just click down, type of it, and then select it as a connection string. So this is the option. Type of it is connection string. Click here and it's going to make it as connection string. And the value, you have just copied it, so Control V to paste it. So paste it, and this is all done. If you want, there is a small button, ellipses are there, just click here to be very sure that you are connecting. Just click on this ellipses on the extreme side, click on here, and don't do anything. You just test the connection, whether you see whether you are able to connect to the database. You must get connection is successful. Click OK. It is done. You are connected it. Okay, you don't need to take trouble of doing anything. You are just connected to the database. It's all done. You can just save it and now come back to your web form. So your web form is here. Again, by mistake, if you click close this web form, go here to the Solution Explorer. You have this web form. Double click on this web form.aspx. It's going to appear, so don't worry. Okay, so you have this web form here, and you have your button on this place. Double click on this button. So double click on this button. You have this add button. Double click on it. You will be shown the Visual C# code here, and then Visual C#, the C# code here. And we are supposed to do everything. We need a connection. You know, I've already told you in the last class, you need a connection with the your database, and in this case we are using SQL Server database. So I'm going to say SQL connection. Now this you have to type it on your own. Visual Studio will not help you with this, and I'm going to just press semicolon here. Visual Studio will say that I didn't get what is SQL connection. So in this case, what are you going to do? So I'm going just to show you. In this case, you are going to say CTRL plus, don't type that plus dot. Plus means together, so don't even type, don't, some people I don't know. It plus means you are supposed to type, press this button and this button simultaneously. That is the meaning, not the even press the plus button there. So control dot, you do this control dot, keep your cursor here anywhere, control and dot. Visual Studio will give you an help, and the help that Visual Studio will say that you have to import a namespace, and the namespace is system.data.SQL client, and under this you have this SQL client class. I'm going to just click on this and say import, not the import, start using this namespace. So click on this, and when I do it, you notice that just click on it, and the Visual Studio is smart enough to add a using statement for you. So you don't need to type it, and if you start typing it, you will make a spelling mistake and everything will crash from here. So allow the Visual Studio to complete the code for you. You will save your lot of time and effort. So let's go and let me start completing this one. I'm going to just click here. I just pressed the Windows button. Okay, I'm going to start from here. Equal to, I will have to create a new instance of it. SQL connection. I'm going to press enter. It's going to ask me for the connection string. Where is the connection string? See what you have done. You went to the properties and you went to the settings and you have added a default setting. So this is what you are supposed to do it. So write it in the same way. You went to the properties. Okay. Press enter. You notice the Visual Studio is helping you with all the things. You went to the properties, put a dot, and then you went to the setting, put a dot, you change the default setting, put a dot, and you have this connection. Just type C and you have your connection string with you. So that is it. So this is the connection string. Let me just show you. Under the properties, under the settings, this is the connection variable name. This is the variable name that you have typed, and I am using the same variable name, connection string. If you use the XYZ here, type it as XYZ, but I've taken it as connection string, so that is it. Once you know the connection, you need a command to be executed. So I'm going to say command, by the way, which is the command. So let's first fix that command, and let me come back to this part. So I'm going to go to the server explorer here, and you can right click and open it if it is not open. So under this employee table, the table just now that I've created, right click here and then say I want to write a new query, so that you know that some query is working. So let's click on this new query, and we are supposed to write a query. I will write a very simple query. And what is this a simple query? I want to insert something into the employees table. So how do you write this one? So I'm going to say insert into, I will just minimize it. So insert what is the spelling? Insert into employee table, emp table. Okay, and I'm going to insert a few values into here. What is the first value? First value is the 103. Let me say if this is the first value. 103 is the first value, and the name is Suresh. Let's say the what else here? Department is, let's say, physics. Okay, and what else is 25,000 is the salary. Something, okay, 2 lakhs it went. Okay, 25,000 is the salary. Let me put the semicolon. Okay, that's done. Select it, and here right at the top corner you have a option like play, run, execute this query. I'm going to just click on this execute query, and it must say one row is affected. Okay, so that is the meaning. So that means it has inserted one row. If you really want to know, you already have this the table, form table here, that is employee table. Okay, if it is not there, go here, right click, and then say show the table data. I already have it here. Only thing I need to do is refresh it. When I refresh here, I'm going to get 103 Suresh physics, and that thing, whatever I have typed, it is going to appear there. So this query is working. I'm able to add a record into this particular database. So I will go to the SQL query here, that is the query command, and I'm going to select this one. So remember, select it without the semicolon. Don't select even the semicolon. Semicolon is required for your SQL statement, but if you try to put a semicolon at wrong places, C# will not be happy with your syntaxes. So I have this query. This query need to be executed. So let me go here to my C# code, and under this ASPX, and I'm going to create a string here, and I'm going to say SQL. What is this? SQL, okay, string, whatever it is, and I'm going to put 2 double quotes and just paste it here. Control V to paste. You know very well. By now you are all familiar that Control V, you can paste it. Now the first one, because I want it as a general case, not just always adding Suresh, I want to add other names also. So first I will say this is the employee number. Next one, I don't want every time Suresh to be appeared, so I'm going to say ename. Okay, ename, let me say. And maybe the next one, remember you have to put at, because it's a parameter that you are passing. It is not a variable, it's a parameter. Okay, if you didn't get what is a parameter, there is something called as a parameter. So you are just passing a parameter, not the variable here. And the last one happens to be at salary. So that's simple as that. Put a semicolon. Remember, put a semicolon after that. This semicolon is for your C#, not for the SQL statement. So I have not put the semicolon inside. Very important. So don't get this thing from the your SQL statement. So keep it simple. Okay, that's done. Let me press enter. You have your the query with you. So I have to execute a command now, and that command is SQL command. Okay, COMM. and Visual Studio will help you. Just press enter. Let me call the variable as cmd, and I'm going to say equal to new SQL command. Press enter, and you need the SQL statement. I already created this SQL statement. This is my SQL statement, just now I created. And you need the connection. So what is the connection? Connection is con. Just now I created a connection to the database, and that is what I'm using. I will put the colon over here. Now one important thing, you said you are going to give parameters, enumber, ename, and all these parameters. They will come from your text boxes here, text box 1, text box 2, text box 3, and all the text box that you have created. They are going to appear from those text boxes. So I'm going to give one command, so the parameters. So first I will go to this cmd. This is the object, cmd.parameters. Okay, and then I'm going to say add with values. Okay, and the first parameter name under double quotes you have to write as it is, and my advice is just to select it, Control C it, and Control V it. Very important thing, do not put spaces like this. It must be without spaces, as is what you have written here, without extra space in the before and after. Do not put additional spaces there. Put comma, and here I am supposed to specify the value. Where is the value? It is there in the text box number 1. So if you go here, this is the text box number 1. During the examination, ensure that this is the text box number 1. Just if you click here, it's going to show which is the text box. Sometime it may so happen that you may drag this one and keep it here, or you may drag it and keep it down. So avoid that. Just say whether it is text box 1, next one is text box 2, text box 3, and text box 4. In my case, all of them are in order. You may start with the text box number 4 first. In that case, type it as text box number 4. Anyhow, I'm going to give the values for the employee ID, whatever that is typed here in front of this employee ID text box, that I want to be stored in the database. So let me go to my CS file here, and let me zoom out for you. And I'm going to say this is my text box 1.text. In your case, the text, if the text box is different, select that as a text box. Let me put a semicolon and close this. After that, I will select this whole thing, Control C to copy, and click down, and Control V to paste it. Second parameter that I am supposed to use is ename. So I'm going to just select it, Control C and Control V. Very important. No extra spaces, no comma, no spaces, nothing. As is, you have to copy it without the space. What is written here along with it. I'm going to just copy this, Control C and Control V it. Again, one more I need, Control V. I'm going to do it. The next one is at the department. Control C it, select it, Control V here. And the last one is salary. Control C and just paste it here. Remember, no, when you type it, it must be in double quotes without extra space. First one is the text box 1. Second one happens to be text box 2. Third one text box 3, text box 4. So I have to say this one is text box 1. Second one is text box 2. Third one is text box 3, and fourth one is text box 4. Done. So you have added all the parameter. Now it's a time to execute the query. Now I'm going to use a try catch method to handle the exception. So how do you handle the exception? So just type try, double tab it, Visual Studio will do it for you. So don't you have to type all these things, don't you need to remember all those things. Visual Studio is smart enough to help you with these options. So I'm going to try to open the connection. You have this connection here. The first thing that you did was the connection. Open this connection by saying connection.open, enter, and you have opened the connection. Then once you open the connection, let me click here. Once you open the connection, you have the command here, cmd, that is your SQL command. So that is cmd. So start this cmd and then say execute non-query. So press enter. Open and close the circular bracket, press enter. After this, just close the connection, connection.close. Very important. When you open the connection, you are supposed to close it. Again, I am not typing. If you notice that I am just typing the open and close bracket and semicolon, or this kind of silly things I am typing, and I expect the Visual Studio to help me out with the syntaxes. so that I don't make spelling mistake or syntax errors when I'm typing it. If you come up to this point, that means you've done everything properly. I'm going to go to the label. If you notice, I have one more thing here, and that is the label. And if you notice, the name of this label is label 1. So that's a label. I'm going to go to this label and I'm going to say label 1 dot text, and I'm going to say whatever they have typed there, and what they have typed there is user added. So that is what they have typed. So I'm going to say user added added, and then semicolon. Suppose if there is an exception, I'm going to select this label, Control C to copy it, Control V to paste it. Okay, could not add the user. Let's say could not add the user. Let me type that thing. Okay, that's enough. And I'm not going to throw this again back. Hope you studied Java and you know very well what's the meaning of saying throw. I will not throw it because I don't want to stop this application. Just say that could not add the user. If you really want to know what is the reason, then again, I don't know whether you're familiar with this. See, in the exception, this class, exception class, is the mother of all exception. It's any exception can be handled using this. It's like it's a mother of all. If you want to know which is the exception, then you can use a variable name in front of it. Let me say it is ex. This is not really required, and then you say ex dot message. What is the exception which occurred? Okay, and then definitely you have to open and close this flower bracket. Ex dot, I think it's a property, it's not this one. Okay, ex dot message. Okay, this is the property. If you just want to know, again, that's not really required. Okay, if you notice, there is a property called as, this is the property. You see this icon, that's the property. Okay, so if there is a method, you will see something, a different thing there. Okay, it's a property. I'm going to just show the why that thing failed. Okay, I think that's all you need to do. However, you will see some one additional thing that you need to do. It's not the end of it, but let me run it now and then show you what is the problem. Okay, one thing you must understand is the employee ID is the primary key. Hope you know what is a primary key. Primary key is something that cannot be repeated. So when you show the output to the examiner, see to it that you don't repeat it. Okay, don't invite trouble by typing the same number in front of the examiner. So here you notice it's going to take some time. Okay, here you see this 101 and 103 is used up. Never type 103 again because it's a primary key and you can't repeat a primary key. Remember that thing. This number cannot be repeated again. So if you start with that, then your examiner knows that you don't know anything about the database and they will ask you to do something else also. So start with 104. Employee name, let's say Sita. Department, let's say she is in from the commerce, and her salary is, let's say, 26,000. I'm going to click on add. If everything goes fine, you must say user added. Everything is good, but you don't see it here. Okay, you will notice that it's not getting updated here. Let me go back to my table. I'm going to just stop it here, and let me go to my table. And in my table, you see that I went here and right clicked on say show table data. Okay, that's what I'm showing it here. It is already there with me. I'm going to refresh it, and you notice that Sita is already added. Okay, if you run it for the next time, just for your understanding, if you run it, when the page is loaded, it takes a lot of time. Because my machine is slow, it takes longer time. So that's why I don't want to run it. You notice that Sita is there and I can edit her details and so on. So I can do that. But when I add it, it is not updating immediately. What is that I am supposed to do? I have to tell this grid view over here that you bind it again with the source. So this is actually, once it reads everything, once it reads this one, it will disconnect itself. So you know this database is here. Okay, and it is reading from this database. You are all familiar with this. So once it gets loaded, so it goes here, fetches the record. Once it fetches the record, when the page is loading, after that it just disconnects from the database. But here what you're doing is, this place you are adding new records to the database. That is good. But the problem is, because it is disconnected already, it will not be able to fetch the new record. It has already disconnected. So I have to tell it that again go and rebind to the database and fetch the values. So that's one extra thing I have to tell. How do I do that thing? So I'm going to just stop this, and we go to the source here. Here I said user is added. You can do it before or you can do it afterwards. Anything is okay. One line will not make much of a difference. I will go to my grid view. Look at this one. This is my, where is this? This is my grid view. Okay, you see there the name here, grid view. Okay, so that's a grid view. So I'm going to go to my grid view. Okay, I'm going to say grid view 1. That's the name. Dot data bind. Okay, I'm going to say data bind. This is a method. Remember, see, the Visual Studio is intelligent enough to tell you whether it's a method or something else. You notice that you see the difference. So this is an event, this is a method, and you know the property, it will come like a spanner. Okay, so everything they highlight and show you that this is it. So you don't need to study all this, by heart all those things. Study, I'm not saying study, you don't need to by heart all those things when you have the very powerful IDE such as Visual Studio. It's an extremely powerful IDE, so it will help you out with everything. You'd have to just know the logic, that's it. Know the logic and you run it, and Visual Studio, if it is there, you can write fantastic programs. So let me run it now, and then let me show you what is going to happen. I'm going to add just one, and I'm going to show you that one record can be added. So if you open this one, I'm going to just close the other one because I'm running out of memory. So it's going to be a bit slow. I have a slow machine with me, as well as I'm restricted with the memory over here. Again, during the examination, don't make this mistake. Don't type the numbers which are available here. Type anything on the earth is possible, but it must be integer, definitely. Then any name, say Ravi, and he is from, let's say, CS, and his salary is 12,000, whatever it is. Okay, his salary is there. I'm going to click on add. You notice that Ravi has appeared. Okay, so simple as that. Suppose if you try to add some other name with the same thing, because the, say, XYZ, with any department, anything you say, remember it's going to repeat it. When I click on add, it will say user could not be added, user violation, primary key, PK primary key, and this is because primary key violation. You get a big thing, and it's going to say a duplicate value, so you can't add. 105 is already there, you can't duplicate it. Okay, so this is what you're going to get it. Now suppose if I'm not happy with the Sita's name over here, and I want to remove this Sita, I'm going to just click on delete, and she's gone altogether. Suppose if I say I'm not happy with the Suresh, he is also gone. Suppose I'm not happy with the Ravi, I can click and he is also gone. Suppose if I say I'm not happy with myself, I'm going to delete myself, and everybody is gone. And now if I start with the fresh, remember nothing is there in the database. You can go and query it. It is nothing is there in the database. So XYZ is the only person that has to be there in the CS department, and say add it, and XYZ is going to come. Okay, that's all. In this demonstration, we will meet again in the next video. Thank you.